Hey friends, what's up and welcome back to my channel. I know you're probably wondering, girl, you said you were not gonna pick these up, and to be honest, I wasn't, but so many of you kept recommending these blushes to me. You kept saying that you think I'm gonna love them, and you said that they're kind of different. Now, the reason why I wasn't gonna pick these up is because I saw the first two shades that they had and it was giving chalk, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna waste my time. These are very expensive blushes, and I just had no intentions on picking this up, but you guys are so persuasive. And your girl went to Sephora this morning and I picked up two shades out of the 4 new Dior blushes, and we're gonna try them out together and really see if these are worth the hype that they get. So the first shade that I picked up is the shade Berry. Look at that. I'm already dropping it. This is the first shade that I picked up. This is the shade Berry. They're so tiny. Like, that's the first thing I noticed. This is not like your typical, blush size. These are super small. You get 4.4 grams of product in here. This is a Rosy Glow Color Reviving Powder Blush. So this is what the Berry one looks like. These blushes retail for $40. Yes, they are so expensive. And then the other shade that I picked up, which I think is absolutely beautiful, it's the shade Cherry. This is stunning. My camera is not doing it justice because it is a very, very bright color. I do have some other blushes I would love to compare both of these shades to, just so we can see if they're similar to other shades you may or may not have in your collection. But we're gonna dive into it. I am gonna start off with Cherry. Let's see. Oh, okay. It has some pigment. I have a feeling these might be more of a buildable blush formula. I'm going in with layer number 2, which I know some of you prefer a more buildable blush. I'm trying to see that like glow that they're talking about. It looks like it has a teeny tiny like satiny kind of effect, a satin shimmer to it. It's not like a glittery effect, but I had to push my hair to the back so we can really get the vibe of this. I think it's a really pretty shade, but the shade looks very similar to the Haus Labs powder blush, which I will get to compare. This blush does look very punchy, but I feel like it's kind of subtle in a way, if that makes sense. Like, it's not a super intense, overly pigmented blush. So Cherry, I like the shade of it. It definitely reminds me of the Haus Labs watermelon shade. I'm just going in with some more because I want to build this up. We all know I love blush. I live for a good blush. It's not looking chalky. It's looking really beautiful. Like, the shade that you see in the pan is exactly what you get on the face. So I like this shade. Okay, let's move on to the Berry shade. I feel like this video is going to be really short, but that is okay. This one, I'm not sure because there are certain purple toned blushes in my collection that I've tried that kind of almost looks like a bruise on me. It has to have the right undertone, and I was a little bit skeptical about this one because it looks like it has more of like a brown undertone, and that's gonna give off kind of like a bruise looking vibe. So we will see if that is the case. Oh yeah, it's very, very deep. It's very deep. I kind of like my Berry blushes to have a little bit more pink to it. Like this, I feel like is giving like brown purple. I don't like this shade. I do commend Dior for coming out with a deeper blush shade, but like this shade right here is not, I'm not vibing with it. I'm really, really not. What do you think? Which one do you like? I know some people love purple tone blushes. I live for a good purple blush, but it has to have the right undertone in it. And for me, I could already tell this one looks kind of more like brown, which definitely does give off that bruise sort of vibe. Now, I noticed something about the packaging. I feel like the packaging is so misleading because the shades on the outside of the packaging is not exactly the shades that you get in the inside. They're actually kind of different, and when I went to my Sephora, they didn't have these on display, so I just was like going with what I thought. But to be honest, I really do not like this Berry shade at all, but this shade I really like. I just have something similar, so I'm gonna go grab the blushes that I think are similar to these, and we're gonna do a little bit of a comparison. So I literally just raided my blush drawer and found blushes that are similar to these Dior ones. So I'm gonna start off with the Dior Cherry. Let's do a little bit of a swatch. And it's so interesting to me that they named named the shade Cherry because this one is giving coral almost. So this is the Dior. Definitely does have pigment. You see it one swipe. It's not a super, super intense, you know, blush, but it is a buildable one and you definitely can build it up to have some color. Now, I don't know how this is gonna last. From trying a bunch of different blushes, I have found that most of the buildable blushes that I own kind of wear off faster than the more pigmented ones. So I'm gonna swatch it again with another one, another swatch. Okay. 2 layers, we have that. I pulled the Make Beauty Vivid Dream Blush, which is very, very similar. So this one's from Make Beauty. It's such a beautiful shade. I feel like this one might have a little bit more orange to it, but it is pretty similar. I feel like it'll correlate to be very similar. Then I pulled out the Haus Labs Watermelon Bliss. And I feel like this one, looking at it, it looks very similar. Like very, very similar. So we'll swatch this one. Oh, it looks like the Haus Labs one has a little bit more red to it, but it is so similar to the Dior Cherry, like very similar. You can already see that the Haus Labs has a ton more pigment. So that is important to note. Pulled out a liquid blush from Juvia's Place just because I know a lot of us were excited about this and we almost have all of the shades. So I just wanted to compare this one. This one's Barbie Rose. I should have pulled out the coral one, but I felt like Barbie Rose kind of almost looked like a liquid version of that, but kind of looks a little bit more deep here. Well, those are the comparisons for that Dior blush. So if you honestly have literally like any of those, you don't need to pick up this Dior one. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to the berry one because I pulled out a lot of berry blushes. I'm gonna swatch this berry one first. Here. Yeah, I feel like if I was able to swatch this one in store, I probably wouldn't have picked it up because I just from the swatch, I know this is not a color that I would gravitate to at all. Not a fan. Let's do the Haus Labs Acai Sky, which is such a beautiful, beautiful berry toned. This one has a little bit more like pinkness into it. So I like berry tones like this. Like this is my kind of berry. So gorgeous. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Not similar, but I feel like this Jaclyn one, I didn't like the shade from the Jaclyn liquid blush. This one is in the shade Plush Berry. I felt like this one had a lot of brown in it and it looks very, like, it literally looks like the liquid version of the Dior. So yeah, that one, not a fan. I did pull out the Juvia's Place one. This one is in the shade Sweet Berries. Now I do like this one because it has a little bit more pink to it. It's not as brown leaning, to be honest, but I really like the Juvia's Place one. And the last one I want to compare is, oh, I actually have 2 more I want to compare. This one is the Danessa Myricks one. Gorgeous. This one looks like the Haus Labs one. That's why I love those two so much. They're so similar. But yeah, definitely not like the Dior. And then the last blush I pulled to compare is from Rare Beauty. It's in the shade Believe. This one is, I don't know, I think it's kind of different than anything that I've swatched. We'll put that up here. Yeah, it's not the same. I don't think I have anything very similar to this one. I would say the Jaclyn one is the closest for sure. The Jaclyn is definitely the closest, except it's in a different, you know, form, texture, finish. So yeah, those are the comparisons for those. Final thoughts on these Dior blushes. These are $40 blushes, and I know so many of you love the Dior blushes, but I love to save money. I'm all about saving money. I want more for the quality. I want more for the packaging. I just want more in general. I can tell you all the reasons why this is not a blush that I would run out and purchase. One, the size. The size of these blushes are unacceptable. We don't really pay too much attention to size, but if it's a $40 blush, and I know that there are blushes close to $40 where you get way more product, like 3 times more the product, I'm gonna choose the one where I get more product for my money. You know what I mean? Realistically, I'm not gonna go through all of the blush, but I like to know that I'm getting all of my money's worth. I'm getting everything that $40 is worth. Now, The shade, I love the cherry shade. It's really beautiful. It's a buildable blush, but I don't really see this lasting a long time throughout the day because of how like buildable it is and how many layers I have to pack on to really get it to the intensity that I wanted. So that's something just to keep in mind. Berry one, I just don't like this shade for me personally. If you love shades like this, then Dior has a shade just like it, but I personally don't like brown toned purples. I feel like they kind of look like a bruise on me. I'm just not a fan of it. So that's that. If I could recommend a blush to you that is close to $40, I really would say go ahead and get the House Lab blushes. You saw that the Watermelon Bliss is pretty similar to the Dior Cherry blush. And then the Acai Sky is not the exact same shade as the Berry from Dior, but it is a really beautiful berry tone shade, and I love both of these for $40. Also would recommend, checking out Make Beauty. Oh my god, I had another purple blush from Make Beauty that I forgot to swatch. Definitely not the same shade for sure. It's way more purple, so I guess that doesn't matter, but Make Beauty has so many different blushes to choose from. They're like $28, like much more cheaper than the Dior. But I do hope this video was helpful and just hearing my thoughts on the blushes. Happy I got to try them. I just don't think this is like worth the $40 price tag because there's so many other better blushes, similar blushes out there on the market. But I am happy that I got to try it and just to get it, just to see, what the hype is about. Let me know your thoughts down below and I'll definitely catch you guys in my next one. Bye guys.